Feedback. Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton.
And I am Thabiti Mpinga.
Inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback,
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
And take us along with you. Feedback. With you. You know, I like saying that every Monday. Thank you so much for tuning in to Feedback, a positive image production by Hood Research. My name is Theo Broughton, co-founder of Hood Research, and my co-host,
Thabiti, and we welcome you to the program. Happy New Year, everyone, from me.
All right. Yes, it is. And there's some other crazy things that have been going on. Not quite so happy, but, you know, Congress was really about to go to blows because they didn't want McCarthy to be the Speaker of the House. But we have a guest with us this morning, and we're having a need to figure out how to share this when people have, you know, Facebook and internet and all those good things. So I just want to say happy Monday to everybody. And the numbers here, 868-4336 and 868-0342. Our guest this morning is Kwabena from Chicago, and he's been on with us before. And we have talked about the influence of negative rap lyrics, gangster rap, as some people call it. And we now have heard all kinds of negative platforms have been added to brainwash our generations, I guess young and all, I suppose. Peacock happens to be one of them. And you know, Thabiti, China blocks out negative suggestions, shall we say, to the people within China. But here, seems like anything goes. Kwabena, welcome to Feedback, a positive image production by Hood Research. And we'd love to have you come back with us all the time. We want to know what's going on in your world.
Oh, it's good. It's good to be with you, Sister Theo and Hood Research.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, been with you all for several years now, on several occasions. You know, appreciate working with the National Black Leadership Alliance, bringing us together.
Right.
Brother Kwabena, just before you began, brother, the engineer gave me the information that you can go to in order to see it live. If you have a pen and paper, which I always tell our viewers, as you know, to have your pen and paper handy. So I can give that to you now, brother, if you like.
I must have been listening to you because I got the pen and paper handy.
Okay.
All right.
www, and this is for everyone, www.tv33whpr.com, and you'll be able to watch it live. I'll repeat that once again. That's www.tv33whpr.com.
Right on. Appreciate that.
Sure. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to share that with you, brother.
No, it's good. We wanted to make sure we got it. We could share with other folks and people too. You know, it's 2023, New Year, and in Chicago, after the first 3 days of 2023, we had 13 youth had been shot already.
Oh, goodness.
With several of them dying. And these are juveniles who have been shot. And that just adds to the others who have been shot. Last year in Chicago, it was over 700 people who were victims of homicide. It's not as bad as the year before when it was 830, but, you know, tell that to some of the families of some of the victims.
Wow.
But this fratricide continues to be a scourge on African life. Some people would say, well, you know, we had, 400 murders in New Orleans back in 94, or we had 900 in Chicago back in 70-something. And we did. We had plenty. I grew up in Los Angeles. We had I don't know how many hundreds back in the early 80s and late 70s during the really gang culture, the Crips and Pyru type thing was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference today is a couple of things that are different. Today, it's like so many cities are experiencing these numbers, not just isolated in New York. I mean, or I can say New York too, or New Orleans, or in Chicago, or L.A. Mm-hmm. It's all over. And too many of these, like what Bro Diallo calls them, containment areas. He doesn't call them communities. He calls them containment areas where African people are being contained here in the United States. Mm-hmm. It's just in too many of them. And also another difference is they're women and children. Like we just mentioned, a lot of juveniles who are getting shot, and women. It was drug trade. It was a lot more gang related then than it is right now. Right now, it's just so supposedly feeling disrespected related. And I was talking to somebody the other day. They were telling me, in order to be cool, you have to be a killer. Or a serial killer, pretty much. And I was talking to this brother about this down here. I'm in Louisiana now. We were talking about this club, one of the best clubs in South Louisiana. It has a legendary called Joel's Lounge, a really nice club with just great time out there. But they're still open. And I was asking him, how do you avoid what our sisters have to deal with nowadays whenever they go out to party? Whenever black women, African women want to go out and party or have a good time in the U.S. and they want to dance, unfortunately, in too many cases, if they're going to dance, they have to dance to being called a B or H, or being told that the guys they're dancing with are ends, and that they should probably shoot and kill each other. If they don't dance to music with that in it, in too many cases nowadays they don't dance. Wow. And so it just takes me back to the difference today, too, and what the thing is today is that it's music. The number one thing that's constantly going through the minds of our people that's saying to do these heinous things to each other is the music.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you say that, brother, and I'm going to let you continue. I'd say maybe about 15 years ago, I recall my sister going to a place here in Detroit. It was, as Theo would know, there was a local union over on 12th and the Boulevard, and some guy asked her to dance, and she didn't dance, and he slapped her. But he didn't know that my sister had a crew also, so it didn't turn into anything violent in terms of shooting or anything. But just because she said no, she wouldn't dance, he felt he had the right to slap her.
Mm-hmm. There's a song we just played, and when we talk about this, there's so much negativity and stuff in this music, the lyrics, especially as promoted for our people. But that story you just told about, family, there's a song called Crossfire by a group called All Natural out of Chicago, and he describes the exact same thing. But his goes on to it's about children at a playground being caught at a crossfire. And how do you tie that into what you just said? Well, the story starts off, they were at a club, and this guy tries to hit on this girl, and he disrespects her. And so it ends up being a fight. And then not only did he, but it ended up with a shooting in that story, because I guess he was disrespectful when somebody shot at him, and then later on the retaliation occurred when they saw the same guy at a park where he had his children with him, and so he had to tell his children to duck down because they were caught in the crossfire. And again, that goes also into the point of what we're talking about. People say a lot of this stuff is gang-related, like the authorities will say gang-related, gang-related. You know how we would always hear that? Gang-related violence, gang-related?
Right.
A lot of times you're disrespecting women. And we still, many of us still honor and respect our women. Mm-hmm. And there's another case in Chicago where this brother is in a store and somebody was disrespecting his mother in the store. So he was checking the dude, and the dude ended up shooting him. And he's just trying to protect his mother's dignity and honor, and still ends up getting shot and killed. Wow. Mm. And so this is how it's become out here.
Mm-hmm. When Theo and I were riding into the show today, I was telling her, because I think about back in the 60s in particular, when people were supposedly being programmed, whether it was by a political group, a religious group. Sun Young Moon, I think, was one of the people back in the 60s. And Jim Jones, as Theo always brings up, how people who are, I guess, weak in terms of not being able to discern between what makes sense or not, and how they end up following in line. And what Theo and I were discussing on the way in was the repetition of the music. And now we have, particularly our youth, but other youth do it as well, but specifically our youth, it's life imitating art, but it's a negative and a dark art at the same time.
No, you're so correct, and I'm glad you said that. The life is imitating the art, because people would also tell us, well, they're just rapping about their experiences or what's going on in their life. But, the rapper Paris, and like you just said, no, this is also, and to us, in many cases, it is life imitating the so-called art. And it's so...
Well, Kwabena, I think it's unfortunate that it gets explained away that these rappers are only rapping about what is going on presently. What about the future? And I hear that some of them don't think they have much of a future. But if that becomes a concern or something to encourage the young people about, why can't you rap about the future that as you would like it to be, as opposed to always rapping about some, negative scene that you have witnessed?
You're so on point. That's what our art should visualize, what we think of the future, how we would like life to be. I know Bob talks about that. Bob Law talks about when people are in prison, when they do art, they don't draw art about prison cells and and where they're eating at in the yard. No, they do things they want to. Their art reflects how they want things to be. Mm-hmm. So I wholeheartedly agree. But see, and while we talk about and deal with these ratchet artists and what this society, what this evil music industry puts out there specifically for our children, there are also groups there's a group called Dead Prayers, and they had an album out several years ago called Information Age, and one of the songs on there is a beautiful song, and it's called Take Me to the Future. You all get a chance to look it up, or maybe if you can even, I don't know if you get a chance to cue it up or even play it, I think that would be great. Mm-hmm. It's a song called Take Me to the Future by Dead Prayers, and it deals with what you're just talking about. This art, it's a beautiful song, and it talks about how we visualize things to be in the future.
Right. So it would be or is incumbent upon us to encourage the young people around us, and even those who are on social media, to begin talking about what could be, what should be, what would be if you stop killing each other, and encourage them to write more positive lyrics within their music.
One of the things I want to also bring into it, and Theo and I, again, we're talking about this on the way in. If we think about the 50s, which I was a rugrat at that time, they had James Dean, Rebel Without a Cause, and Marlon Brando also did those type of, anti-society type of individuals, even although he didn't do it, but he represented it, Fonzie in the Happy Days. But my point is just that it seems like people are, of all races, are drawn more to the dark side or the fast life, that type of thing. And because the guy that was considered square didn't get any girls, but the guy that had his cigarettes rolled up in his T-shirt sleeve or something like that, women wanted bad boys. And I say that, drawing a line from there to rap in the same way. Women, young ladies, and they should be a little bit more discerning in what they do. They tend to like the guy that's collegiate doesn't really get much play, but the guy that's got that thug gangster type of aura about him, she kind of likes him a little bit more because he's risky. There's a danger element and something about that's attractive, which is why a lot of these rappers, because a lot of them have good sense, but they're just not using it.
Yeah, you know, I guess it's still not in recent years, but MC Light had a song called Roughneck that was out.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that kind of like epitomizes what you're talking about in kind of more recent times. And, you know, this is what that's what she claimed that they wanted. And, you know, I saw it. I mean, you know, growing up, I see the sisters like, okay, you know, and my brother who's a comedian would like do a joke about it. Like, yeah, so what you want to get with this dude who in a couple of years is going to be locked up in jail and leave you alone? Because they know that's the image they're portraying, that roughneck image. But again, that's promoted in Hollywood. That gangsterism is promoted and pushed on us to destabilize us, to stabilize our families. It helps capitalism. You have to have the gangsterism. I mentioned Bo Diallo earlier. I just heard him talking about that too. It goes hand in hand with capitalism, the gangsterism, the greed, the selfishness, the taking over of land, of a territory. You know, all of that. It's like it goes hand in hand with it.
That's something, you know, both of you talked about this. You don't hear anybody rapping about the end of gangster life. You know, that's what you are saying. And I don't remember hearing that there is a rap song that talks about the end. Basically, the only thing that happens in it now is an abrupt ending by saying, go out and kill people.
You know, Tupac did a song. I don't know the title of it, but I remember because he kind of was on the fence. He went both ways with the negativity, but Brenda had a baby and the positivity. But one of his rap songs, he said something like, you brothers, I'll just paraphrase. He said, you brothers don't know where to draw the line, like 25 to life never crossed your mind. And it never crosses their mind. You know, at the moment, they're caught up in that moment. So they never even think about the consequences. It's all about the moment.
Yeah, and it's sad, and you know, but all of this is what's pushed because that song, when that line from Tupac, like you said, that song won't get played, but they play I'm sorry, I Get Around, even though they did play Keep Your Head Up, but they'll play I Get Around, or the song with the late Michigan rapper out of Flint,
MC
Breed,
right?
I Got to Get Mine, you know, so it's what the media pushes, and you know, like when Sister Thea was talking about the feature, the Dead Prayers album, which was that excellent album, Information Age, where they deal with the future. You know, you won't hear it because they won't play it. They play. It's like, you know, I'm talking about Brody Allen, I'm talking about Bob. But Bob would share when they get on us in our movement about censorship. You know, you guys want to censor the music, and he says, no, it's not us who want to censor the music. We want people to hear all varieties and the aspects of the music. Right. It's you all who are censoring the music.
And they don't make space. Yeah,
if the music is not dropping in bombs, if it's not talking about materialism, if it's not telling us to kill each other or disrespect our women, you censor it. You don't play it if it doesn't have those themes in it. I heard a song I was in right before I left the other day. This was early wee hours in the morning. I had an early flight. And I turned the radio on. I hadn't been monitoring lately because just trying to keep my mind, that ratchetness out my mind.
Right.
But there was a song, and I probably shouldn't even say it, but I'm gonna try to say it in a way much cleaner than what the radio played it. He basically said he knew that sister was on that time of the month, and then he asked, could she perform oral, pretty much. And he didn't say, I'm saying it in a way that's still inappropriate because these stations are stations that target our children.
Oh, wow.
But he said it in the most blatant way. You know, with SU, and he said period, and then he said the next line was SU. I'm like, are you serious? I mean, they're just playing it straight up on the radio. And again, these are stations that target our children and youth. And then when I get to New Orleans in 2022, there were 280 homicides.
Oh, goodness.
In New Orleans, 279 carjackings in New Orleans. So I tuned into the radio yesterday, Sunday, and this is on the No Heart station. We call them iHeart. We call them No Heart. They have no heart when it comes to African people and what they give to our children.
Right.
But the rapper says, you ain't nowhere around or nowhere to help when we do these killings. When I do this killing, when I see you, I'm going to whack you in front of witness. So pretty much, yeah, admitting that he's been doing some killings and saying that he don't care, he's going to shoot you in front of witnesses.
Oh, whoa.
Also in the song, in the chorus of the song, is are the lyrics, remember when we were superstars. No, when we were superstars. Remember when we were jacking cars. So that's repeated in the song, bragging about when they were carjacking people.
Wow.
And I'm going to add one more thing on this song. This rapper also brags about how he's going to take these, he knows the drugs are tainted, but he's going to take them anyway because he's a super gremlin.
You're talking
last
about
week-
what is that? The fentanyl that's mixed. Wow.
Pretty much some fentanyl. And so, small town USA. I'm gonna take this small town to a bigger town.
Mm-hmm.
One of my good friends, he knows white folks and black folks just dying in droves over fentanyl overdoses. This is in a small town called Amite, Louisiana.
Wow.
And then I'm going to take it to a bigger city. We lost Gangsta Boo, who was a ratchet rapper, female rapper. She was in her 40s, I believe. I think she was in her 40s with 3-6 Mafia. And people are lamenting the fact that she's gone, she's died in tears and everything from fentanyl.
Wow.
The reports are saying that she was taking that fentanyl. However, where is our lamentation? Where is our protest? Where is our outrage when you can play a song where the rapper says, because he's a super gremlin, he's going to take these drugs even though he knows they're tainted. And this is a song that's been out. I first heard it in December of 2021. It's a song called Gremlin Superstars, something like that, by Kodak Black, where all these themes are talked about and repeated about killing people, about carjacking, about taking illicit drugs, dropping N-bombs throughout the song, and it's played constantly. I heard it before I left Chicago. Heard it a couple of times since I've been in this area.
Wow.
And what makes it even more heinous and deliberate and dangerous is that not only do they just target black people with this music, constantly with this music, they specifically target black children and black youth.
And unfortunately, we see, at least I see, and I'm sure everyone else does, because I used to pick up my granddaughter when she was in school as opposed to online training. And one of the things I noticed, some of the parents who came up to pick up the children, let's say they were in their at least 20s and some may have been in their early 30s, but I could hear them banging the music out. Number one, it's too loud, so therefore the children have, the potential of having hearing loss, and the lyrics were very negative, and the child who's very susceptible, particularly at young ages, are like sponges. They soak this all in. So they were soaking in this type of stuff, and then they're going about their regular activities too, as 8, 9 years old, etc. But the fact that subliminally or subconsciously they were absorbing that, and then the parent didn't set an ideal role model, or at least, even when I listened to certain things, like my father and father in particular, they weren't going to, they played Red Fox and some of those other more raunchy type of comedians, but they never did it around me. Now, I did sneak and listen to it, but I'm just saying they didn't play it on a regular where I just constantly was barraged with that. So the parents have an extreme responsibility or lack of responsibility in trying to make sure that they screen their children from that negativity.
Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to tell those who have tuned in to Feedback, a positive image production by Hood Research. And this morning, I guess, is Kwabena from Chicago. And he's been with us numerous times to share this information, to encourage our community to be more aware and to do what they can to make a difference. Kwabena, what do you think would help to curb this, to change it? I know we probably difficult to stop it altogether, but ever since C. Dolores Tucker was fighting against it, and it's gotten worse. What do you see as a help?
Organize. A couple of things we have to do. We have to organize the people who to fight against it. We understand already, I think, because we know we're always engaging people on this issue, and the people understand that this is what's being done. They're not fooled by that. So we just need to bring out more information and understanding about it. We need to make sure people know that it's an issue, and organize around the fact that people are seeing it now and hearing it. We need to. One of the things, I work with a group called the Elevated Arts and Culture Collective, part of the Nubian Leadership Circle. And right now we're in the process of gathering a database of all the killer radio stations throughout the U.S. that specifically target African children and youth. And we're sharing this information with the legislators in those particular cities where these radio stations exist. And we're going to petition these legislators to do what was done in Wilmington, Delaware, what was done in Gary, Indiana, what is pending in New York City, and that is to sponsor or to put out resolutions condemning these ratchet killer radio stations, calling on the FCC to do their jobs, to police to stop these radio stations, not police them, to stop them from the indecent content that they're spreading to our people.
Right. We have to take a break now, and we want to continue as soon as we come back from this station break. I want everyone to stay tuned, and while we're on break, call somebody. Call friends, family members, co-workers. Tell them to tune in to this important conversation. We'll be back momentarily.
It's time to do something more. Join the Detroit Police Department, either straight out of high school or make a bold career change. Officers start at $40,000, plus health insurance, paid vacation, retirement plans, and more. Apply online at joindetroitblue.org.
It's the These Nuts Show with your host, Butter and friends. Butter here, magician escape artist, practicing for my show tonight. Come on in, have a seat.
Everybody settle, Butter, you're on in 5, 4, 3, 2.
In a few seconds, you gotta be enough to get out of this one. Twist a little turn, ta-da! It's showtime. It's your old friend Butter here. I may be a nut, but I know to wear my mask. Please welcome my first guest tonight, fitness guru, Wally Wallman.
Wally Wallman here to tell you to wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds so you will stay healthy and strong like me.
Almond Cruz here, sliding in with the news. Distance is what we must do to stay away from the chew and other germs in the air that might be trying to get on you. Social distancing is a wonderful way to see friends. As long as you're 6 feet apart, you win.
Hey there, friends. I wouldn't miss this for the world. It's me, Pumpkin Spice, your healthy girl. Remember, it's important to use your kind hearts and follow the signs to stay healthy and safe at all times.
Chica Chiminsky here to say, don't forget the little ones that need you to lead the way. That's how we remember to wash our hands, mask, and social distance today.
Morgan Raisin. Yes, it's me, here to sing about health and safety. We are all here to help get a message out to your grapevine, teaching healthy choices to stay safe all the time.
Don't let these guys drive you nuts. Put your mask on first. They'll let you be. And it keeps me safe from the
chew
that's trying to get on me.
Butter me up. She's right, you know. Thank you, Hallie Cranberry, for joining the show. Let's all be nuts about our health. Social distancing, wash your hands frequently, use hand sanitizer, and wear a mask. Practice what we learned to stay away from the germs. We're all in this together. Coming soon, the many adventures of these nuts in a theater near you.
This is Bruce Simpson, your City of Detroit ombudsman. I am here to address all of your complaints and concerns. If you need assistance regarding city services, please contact my office at 313-224-6000 or contact us via email at ombudsman at DetroitMI.gov. This is Bruce Simpson, your City of Detroit Ombudsman.
Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton,
And I am Thabiti Mpinga,
inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback.
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV. Watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
and take us along with you.
Feedback. Take us along with you. You're tuned in to Feedback, a positive image production by Hood Research. And we have a caller on hold for us to talk with us on the seriousness of what we have going on in many communities around this country. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, James Ford. Yes? What?
Okay, I'm just sending a message out to the governor. I would like to bring his information to the Obama Weekend Festival about people in the music and what's going on. And the other thing, I just want to remind you that the police commissioner, the city council, commissioner, the police, and everybody would love the people of Detroit to come to the police commissioner's meeting on Thursday. And you all have information, so I'm going to keep it right there. And I would like Kwabena to all of his to the Obama Festival. It will have an impact on the people who will be there. Bye-bye.
Thank you for calling. Kwabena is our guest this morning. Kwabena, what he was referring to is the fact that here in this community and perhaps in others around the country, drivers are ignoring red lights. They just drive through a red light as if it doesn't exist. And they're going through stop signs throughout the communities as well. You know, there seems to be just a general disrespect for human life. We have also heard recently that a young woman on her way home stopped in a liquor store. Within the liquor store is plexiglass to protect the workers. And behind the plexiglass are workers with guns strapped to their hip. Now, in the state of Michigan, it's called open carry. There's a law, open carry. So you can walk around wherever you want to with your gun strapped to your hip. Anyway, the lady purchased whatever and left the liquor store to go to the parking lot, get in her car. The parking lot was well lit. However, her car seemed to be the only one out there. And as she went to her vehicle, a man came up, shot her. She fell to the ground. He took his time rifling through her pockets, after which he came out with keys and whatever else, got into her vehicle and drove away. There was no security there.
And I want to add to this, brother, just so that, you get a fuller picture of it, and Theo may know this as well, that the liquor store is in a what we consider a prominent or decent neighborhood, which happen to be Rosedale Park, Grandmont area, where the people there actually have are a little bit more better off or well-to-do than the people who would be in other parts of Detroit. So it wasn't a neighborhood where it's just rife with violence and people who are unemployed and who stand around the stores and beg. This was actually in a semi-affluent neighborhood in Detroit, and there was no need to shoot this sister, because if you pull a gun on most people, they'll surrender whatever they got, particularly a woman, but most people will, and say, hey, look, just take what you want, but don't kill me. But to what we were saying earlier, brother, and you know this well, there's something about, well, not only am I going to commit a crime, in terms of the carjacking, but I'm going to take a life in the process because life is so devalued now, and rap has a lot to do with that. Not to dismiss film, videos, and that YouTube, TikTok, and all that other mess, but life is so devalued now that not only do you commit a crime, but you decide that you have to take a life or at least shoot somebody because that gives you some masculinity. That's what makes your testosterone peak. And it's sad, it's tragic, and it's everywhere.
That's the Tracy Golden situation, and I had that. I saw that. I watched the video.
Yes.
Up until the guy got close to her and they cut it off. But I read the story.
Mm-hmm.
I saw her husband. I saw the despair in her husband. I have a good friend in California. His son was about to graduate. His youngest son was about to graduate from college, and this was like happened in December. And even right now, he's just lamenting and just going crazy. I see that personally. I see another friend of mine who I actually lives down here in New Orleans was talking about when the holidays came, his family just was out of control because in Indianapolis, his nephew had got shot and killed. There was a couple more situations where we see the despair and the horror and the anguish that these families have to go through when their parents are shot and killed, when their children are taken away from us for just stupid and just unnecessary reasons. Mm-hmm. And again, that's why it's so crazy that at the same time you can have these killer radio stations on the air playing, like for instance in Chicago, there was a couple years ago, there were 5 people shot in the South Shore area. Mm-hmm. And I'd heard about it when I got out. I was in Kansas City, just got off the plane, turned and heard about it. And I was going to the vigil in South Shore. So head to the vigil. And on my way out there, turned the killer radio station on, and they're playing a song by 21 Savage, where he talks about running up in your mama house and your grandmama house. He's going to keep shooting. He's going to shoot so much you're going to think it's the 4th of July.
Oh, wow.
He's going to keep shooting until somebody dies.
What?
This is what the radio... I'm telling you, this is constantly, nonstop, 24/7, 365, Sunday morning on radio stations in Detroit, Indianapolis, Atlanta, Charlotte, New York City, Los Angeles, Houston, Baton Rouge, everywhere, all around the country.
Morning.
Playing music, telling, as you and I speak, as we speak today, telling our children early on a Monday morning, that they should be out disrespecting and shooting and killing people, even after last night when we had so many heinous killings, even after our sister Tracy Golden was killed, even after the record producer, the producer, brother Kaz, was shot in the studio in Detroit. He was shot and killed. I think it was New Year's Eve, right around not too long after Sister Tracy was killed. And this is what they promote and push. We do a survey, and I would ask the people to check it out. It's on the Clear the Airways Project, cleartheairwaysproject.org. And there's a survey on there, and it's also on other outlets. Mm-hmm. It's a 3-question survey. We ask people, give us a percentage of music that you and your peers listen to, that drop the N-bomb, that refer to our women folk, our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, our wives, our girlfriends, our aunties as B's and H's. Give us a percentage of music that brags about and encourages the shooting and killing of black people. I'm going to tell you can see them for yourself or hear them for yourself. 60, 70, 80, 90% are the answers to these questions in the music that our people are listening to and that's being forced to them. This is a scourge on African life right now, this music. And then coming up less than a month from now, here we go again with the Grammys, nominating songs like F.U., whatever else, N.I.G.G., Free, nominating that for Grammy Awards. The Recording Academy, the most prestigious, respected music group when it comes to awards.
Supposedly.
Out of all of them, the Grammys. The Recording Academy has nominated a song with that title from Glorilla for a Grammy Award.
Wow.
The Recording Academy has nominated a song called Pushin' P, a song from 3 artists, 2 of which were indicted under RICO charges And the other name is Future, and Future's line on that song, he starts off with, "I cop new hammers for my peace. We don't want no peace." They nominated that for a Grammy Award. This is what we're up against with this evil, dangerous music industry that obviously is afraid of black people and hates black people, both.
Now, do you think that as this continues, as with other things, and that young white females and males will begin to imitate this as well?
Wholeheartedly. That's what happened pretty much in Chicago. What was that, when that rapper, the white rapper, went up in the northern suburbs, in that affluent area, and shot all those people at that parade. I think it was the 4th of July parade. I think it was that. We shot all those people. I mean, he was a so-called rapper. They get caught up in this too, but they look at that, even at that, as heinous and as dangerous as that was, and evil as that was, that's collateral damage evidently to them. Because see, not only are they racist, they're capitalists. You know, they don't, all they care about is their money.
Right. Well,
you know, and it got so we filed a complaint with the FCC. You know, we worked with National Black Leadership Alliance, or Clear Airways Project, filed a complaint with the FCC, asking them to follow their standards. The FCC has decency standards. They uphold the First Amendment rights to free speech. That's one of the first things they talk about when you go to their website or get their information. However, they say, because our children may be listening, we have to protect our children. When it comes to content on FCC licensed broadcast radio stations or television stations, whatever, they have decency standards. And the decency standards state that you cannot play indecent or profane content between the hours of 6 o'clock in the morning and 10 o'clock at night. Because those are the hours that our children are most likely to be listening. And it goes further to say obscene content is never allowed. And so we file complaints with them. You can file complaints, just go to the website on the complaint form and file them as soon as you hear them. But we filed formal complaints against them, against 2 radio stations in Chicago, the iHeart station. iHeart, by the way, used to be Clear Channel. They have at least 28 such radio stations throughout the country where they're playing as Poison. 28. At least 28.
Wow.
Now, can or does the FCC have a mechanism by which they can penalize, exact fines or anything on these people who? Okay, maybe you can give us a little, idea what those fines may be and if they're effective.
Well, our comrades Rage Against the Ratchet out of Philadelphia, they were just like we were struggling against this madness, and so they had a campaign where so many fines were pushed against the station in Wilmington, Delaware, which of course goes over to Philadelphia and other stations out there, where the station had to go under. It was asked of the station manager at the time, why'd you guys change the format? They went to news from the slop hop, and the management said we couldn't keep afford to paying these fines. So it can work, but that was a smaller station. Stations like Clear Channel, iHeart, they just knock them off their shoulder and keep it moving. And a lot of times, evidently, they have. I'm saying this is it's a possibility that there are attorneys who are in cahoots who are working with them, and that's what I want to also share. That part of this complaint process that we filed with the FCC, we gave examples. We had recordings of when these songs were played about killing people, about the disrespectful language and the pornography that's being pushed on our children. We gave them examples of that, and so the 2 stations, their attorneys had to respond to the FCC within 10 days. And so this is a station called Crawford Dontron. It's called Power 92.3, and the other station was the iHeart station WGCI. So their attorneys had to respond. And iHeart is the same station that gives you the network news, the black network news. It's brought to you by iHeart, which is the same. On one hand, they're going to tell music telling you to kill each other and disrespect your people, call you ends all day. Then the next minute they're giving you top of the hour, they're giving you the black network news.
Wow.
I know I went off a little bit, but just ridiculous that they control our news too. So, but going back to the complaint, so they had to respond, and their response was ridiculous. Like, for one, this is an example. So the station, the Crawford station, is basically is based in Hammond, Indiana, which is on the border of Illinois, on the border, pretty much the border of Chicago. And they claim that we are not in Chicago. We are an Indiana station. Like when you hit the border from Canada in Detroit, that you can't hear over in Windsor, you can't hear the stations in Detroit. Yeah. Like they just stop it right there, and it doesn't happen. You can hear the stations. And so it is a Chicago radio station. They brag about it being Chicago station. They said we're number one in the streets, Chicago, but yet they told the FCC that they're not a Chicago station. And GCI had some similar ignorance as their response to the information that we shared about the type of violent and pornographic music that they're playing, indecent and profane and even obscene content that they were playing all hours of the day. So it took us getting with our congressman to finally get the FCC to respond to us. It had been almost 8 months and we couldn't get no response. And so the Federal Communications Commission reports to Congress. So we got our congressman to get on the FCC, and we finally got a response from the Dontron station. That was in June, in the Black Music Month 2021, and they sided with the station, the Killer radio station in Chicago, stating that they trust that their licensees will provide content that's in the best interest of their listeners.
They trust.
Yeah, that's good to say that. Wow. It's supposed to be their job to oversee and make sure. Oh,
isn't that ridiculous? And so, so the best interest of our listeners is for y'all to be playing music for their children, for our children, that tells them that they're ends, that they're bees, and that they should kill each other. But that's what the FCC gave us. And it took till January, about a year ago, that we finally got that response about iHeart, January 2022, before we got the response from iHeart, which was pretty much the same response. You know, but one of the things that we did, though, is we held them without, their license renewal for over a year, because it took a year for them to make that response. However, this was just following a petition that we had online, where we had less than 2,000 people sign the petition, where we had just a small, pretty much, relatively speaking, a small number of us who were organized to fight against this. So what if we had, if we had a few more, if we doubled or triple that, so they can be stopped. They can be stopped, but we have to put the pressure on them. I mean, we met with congressmen about having hearings dealing with this. We don't hear back from them. We've done so much. We have to do so much more, because this is a scourge on African life.
Now, brother, one of the things when you said that there, I believe, were 2,000. Now, I'm wondering, do you guys also reach out to maybe some of the religious institutions, some of the social institutions, whether it's NAACP, CORE, also some of the fraternities and sororities, which do have membership, which would increase the numbers of people, even if they just signed a petition with their names on it, if they weren't able to be physically present, just to have their name and say, well, our organization, the Church of God or whatever, they particular group would be, that would in itself, because I know Theo says quite a bit how sometimes when one person calls a congressman or a representative, whatever, that one call or that one letter may represent in the Congress or the political person's mind, it may represent 7 to 10 people. So I'm wondering, have you guys reached out to some of those organizations? Because it would seem the church, I'm citing them specifically because they are supposed to be what we consider the moral leaders of the community. Have you guys reached out to any of them just to increase your numbers?
Brother, we're on the same page, man. We often say when we go to the radio station in Hammond and do protests, we'd ask the churches and say, look, if y'all just sent your 1 or 2 congregations down here, it will make a big difference. And so we reached out to church groups in the South Chicago area, met with their leaders, never gave us a meeting. It took us 3 years to get a meeting with the Interfaith Clergy Council. And after we finally got that meeting, we met with them. They gave us about 10 minutes. But one of the things that we shared 5 songs that were blatantly blasphemous. There was a song called Preach, a song called Be Blessed, made from Big Sean, Detroit's own Big Sean. A song called Sanctify with Jay-Z, Rick Ross, Jay-Z, Big Sean, I think was on that, and Kanye West. There was a song called God from Young Jeezy, and there was a song called Amen from Meek Mill, who happens to be in Africa right now, hopefully not spreading the poison that he pushes over here. But we shared lyrics like Amen. I'm finna kill ends in the building.
Oh, goodness.
Amen.
Jeez.
She wants to F. I say get on top and roller coast. Preach.
Wow.
So this is a song they played on Sunday morning at these stations. This is what we're sharing with this Interfaith Clergy Council. They had a song called God. I'm a God in the hood from Jeezy. My chopper make an end off a 10-foot wall. So sharing all these lyrics and asking them for assistance with dealing with these radio stations, whether it be letters, demonstrations, come with us out there. I got one question back after we were done, and you'll never guess what the one question they asked me.
How many records you want to buy? Just CDs you want to buy, huh? What was the weird question?
What church do you go to?
Oh.
Wow.
Ooh.
That's as if that was question. The point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with the point. And, when I think about it, these churches, one, they're supposed to be the moral leaders, but at the same time, they're also the places that many of these funerals are going to be, held at, because I've been to a few, and I know how they'll say, well, so-and-so was a good boy. He did this and did that. They never speak about his dark side, which led him to death, or his associations with the dark side that led him to death. So the churches, I don't want to say they benefit from it, but certainly when there's a funeral, it's going to be generally at a church, and then sometimes obviously at a funeral home or something on that level. But for them to ask you, what church did you go to, as if that was what you were there for, was just crazy.
And then out of the 22, I think, pastors, church leaders that were there, nobody said anything about that. That was it. And it goes back to the song way back from Edwin Starr, Ward.
What?
It benefits the Undertaker, right?
Oh.
Remember that song?
Yeah. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Beneficial to the Undertaker.
Right.
I'm just going to kind of drop this in there. I've got a nephew. I've got a number of nephews, so only the one, if he happens to be looking, will know that I'm talking about him. But he had one song because he was from here. He left and went to another city where there were more rap producers. But in his song, I remember him saying, and he's got a strong religious background too, but it just shows how they vacillate, because what he said in his song is, I'm going to pop you and put you in a casket, and then I'm going to roll up and put $20 in your suit before I step off. Something along that line. And it kind of blew my mind, because he does look up to me, because my lyrics, rap, poetry, whatever may be termed, tends to be more social, political, and definitely conscious. So in order for him to, gain some measure of respect from me, he does, try to clean it up. And he has been speaking about some more positive things. But for him in his song to say that while you're in your casket, I'm going to roll up and put $100 in your suit, tuck it in your vest or something like that, sometimes you don't want to, you want to tell somebody something, but you don't want to preach to them, because that only turns them away from something. And he is sort of veering away from that, but he still got a lot of street in his lyrics. So I just only brought that up because what kind of a scene is that? I'm going to kill you, and then I'm going to come put a $100 bill in your pocket while you're laying in the casket.
And I think it's interesting that you say that, because I mentioned the rapper who has the lyrics nominated for a Grammy. He was also nominated for a Grammy for this song called Life is Good. and it's Future, and Future said on that song that I'll put that I'm gonna murk you, put you in the newspaper. I'll put you on a T-shirt, one or the other, the newspaper on a T-shirt. Then he said, I'm gonna pay somebody 20 in drug money rather to come shoot up your hearse. So he's gonna, instead of putting $20 in his pocket, he's gonna shoot up the funeral. And I was at a funeral. We had a funeral in Chicago where 15 people were shot, including out of the 15, 10 were women. One woman, I understand, pretty much had one of her breasts shot off. And this is at a funeral in Chicago.
At a funeral.
And then you turn the radio on, they're playing "Life Is Good," and then the Grammys and the NAACP nominates that song for awards. You mentioned NAACP earlier. The NAACP Image Awards. The NAACP nominates songs like this for Image Awards. For Image Awards.
They're gonna be, so they're helping to sponsor it.
Yeah, they sponsor it, and they nominate it for Image Awards. I'm going to repeat that again. The NAACP nominates songs that call for the shooting of funerals after you kill somebody. They nominated songs like that for Image Awards. And you mentioned C. Dolores Tucker earlier.
Yes.
Her predecessor, Dr. Ife Williams with the National Congress of Black Women, CMOTEP, which is a committee to eliminate media offensive to African people, with Brother James and Sister Betty. They wrote letters. Hood Research wrote letters concerning this, and the NAACP ignores us and nominates songs about killing black people for Image Awards.
Wow. Well, this is an opportunity right now to stop because we're at the top of the hour and we have to take a station break before our last segment. Please call someone, tell them to tune in. If you have an idea of a solution, share that with us. But we'll be back with our guest, Kwabena, from Chicago momentarily.
It's the These Nuts Show with your host, Butter and friends. Butter here, magician escape artist, practicing for my show tonight. Come on in, have a seat.
All right, everybody settle. Butter, you're on in 5, 4, 3, 2.
In a few seconds, you gotta be enough to get out of this one. Twist a little turn, ta-da! It's showtime. It's your old friend Butter here. I may be a nut, but I know to wear my mask. Please welcome my first guest tonight, fitness guru, Wally Wallman.
Wally Wallman here to tell you to wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds so you will stay healthy and strong like me.
Almond Cruz here, sliding in with the news. Distance is what we must do to stay away from the chew and other germs in the air that might be trying to get on you. Social distancing is a wonderful way to see friends. As long as you're 6 feet apart, you win.
Hey there, friends. I wouldn't miss this for the world. It's me, Pumpkin Spice, your healthy girl. Remember, it's important to use your kind hearts and follow the signs to stay healthy and safe at all times.
Chica Chiminsky here to say, don't forget the little ones that need you to lead the way. That's how we remember to wash our hands, mask, and social distance today.
Morgan Raisin. Yes, it's me, here to sing about health and safety. We are all here to help get a message out to your grapevine, teaching healthy choices to stay safe all the time.
Don't let these guys drive you nuts. Put your mask on first. They'll let you be. And it keeps me safe from the
chew
that's trying to get on me.
Butter me up. She's right, you know. Thank you, Hallie Cranberry, for joining the show. Let's all be nuts about our health. Social distancing, wash your hands frequently, use hand sanitizer, and wear a mask. Practice what we learned to stay away from the germs. We're all in this together. Coming soon, the many adventures of these nuts in a theater near you.
This is Bruce Simpson, your City of Detroit ombudsman. I am here to address all of your complaints and concerns. If you need assistance regarding city services, please contact my office at 313-224-6000 or contact us via email at ombudsman@detroitmi.gov. This is Bruce Simpson, your City of Detroit Ombudsman.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit.
WGPR Detroit HD2.
Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton,
And I am Thabiti Mpinga,
inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for feedback.
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV. Watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
and take us along with you. Feedback.
Yeah. Anyway, we are back for our last segment, and we've been discussing disgusting lyrics of gangster rap music. And if anybody has any ideas on how we can address it, reduce it, eliminate it, etc., without acting like them, please call in. You know, here in Michigan recently, the governor signed a bill that says the schools must provide a curriculum that will teach fiscal responsibility, making money, and et cetera, balancing checkbook and all of that. Now, at one time, you know, that was a part of the curriculum until about 1998, 1999, when we had a governor who just destroyed the public school system, and we are all convinced that it was intentional. The idea of teaching the young people about money, making money, using the checkbooks, savings account, etc., responsibly, do you believe that that might have an influence or make a dent if our young people begin to learn about business, becoming an entrepreneur, making their own money as opposed to working for some kingpin somewhere in a corner, waiting on them to bring him all of the monies that they have collected? Do you think that this class could help?
I think it could. I think it's I think it's important to have that sort of independence. But I think that what's important is to understand this issue with capital and capitalism, and how, you know, this big push for everybody to be entrepreneurs is not the key to our liberation, our salvation, or even our economic stability as a mass of people. You know, a few people may benefit from it, but when you're doing this within the realms of this capitalist system, it's, you know, where the main goal is for individual profit and not benefits for the masses. You know, we just need to be careful. I think about that financial literacy, not just based on not based on capitalism, but just based on, you know, how goods and services are moved, how you use these resources,
right,
to maintain yourself or to advance the people. You know, and the people is part of you. You're part of the people too. So,
right.
Yeah, I just think a lot of this stuff, we just got to get away from the selfishness, individualism,
and
of
brother,
capitalism.
you said a key word there, individualism, because I remember coming up, and let's just say I'm in my 6th decade of being on this planet. I remember where there was a more communal type of mindset, and then the society itself start transitioning, which I think is typical of certain Western capitalist countries anyway, to a more me type of thing. And so when you said individualism, that kind of struck me, because it seems to be it's about me. And Theo had spoke earlier about the youth who, and it's true, they don't seem to really value or regard life. They don't even think they're going to live long, and a lot of the rap singers or rappers will say, I think Biggie's was well, they have a phrase. I just put it like this: that says, like, live fast, die young. You only live once, which is YOLO, that type of thing. So they push the type of mentality of go for all the gusto now and get what you can, which is why there's this urgency to do negativity, because they don't see themselves as being parents in the future or even grandparents. All they see is the individualism, the me, let me get mine while I'm in the moment, and everything else, it doesn't really matter. So and it's not all of them. Unfortunately, there's that small segment, just like the segment of police who go out and, just use their badge to murder people. But it's not the majority of police. But however, the spotlight is always on those who commit or part of something negative, because what the news, as we've heard them say, if it bleeds, it leads. And the last thing I want to say on that, because I was speaking to Theo about this in between the break, is that we've even got our young ladies now. Number one, they seem to be drawn to the thug life, but then they want to be called B's and H's too. Even in their relationship with each other, they won't say, "Hey girl," "Hey queen," "Hey princess," or whatever. They'll say, "Hey B," and the other woman just takes it as a term of endearment, as they use with the N word. So we got a problem with the females.
Oh yeah, because what it is, it's dehumanizing. It's a female dog, just like with Megan Pete, who's been on the news a lot lately, because she was bleeding on the block. And in her song "Savages," along with Beyonce, she says, "I done bled the block," and she did bleed the block. She was actually laying on the block after the police stopped the car they were in, and she was laying on the block bleeding, claiming at that time where she had stepped on some glass, and that's what happened to her feet. But come to find out that we pretty much knew then that she was shot in both feet. And so this is Megan Pete. But yes, you got ABC News, you got everybody, including herself, calling herself a stallion, a stallion, a male horse. She's not a horse. She's a sister,
and not a male,
not a horse.
Oh boy, I when you mention that, it just brings back the thought of that awards program where she was rolling around on a bed with the girl, was it Cardi B, I think is her name, and
Cardi B gone,
two women, and she was on top of her in prime time.
Yeah, at the Grammys performing WAP. And so this is where we're at. And so when we look at this madness that's occurring, that's why we mentioned Glorilla. Now, brother earlier mentioned hearing the parents play the song. I was at a gas station in Gary recently, and pumping my gas, and next to me was a song just blasting some ignorant stuff, and I'm waiting for the driver to come back, and I'm playing dumb in a way. I'm like, what is that? Do you know what they were just saying on that song? And the sister said, yeah, they would say. I said, who is that? She said, that's Glorilla and Cardi B. And then as she's talking, three figures pop up in the back of the SUV, and there are three children. So this was blasting while she's inside the gas station, I guess getting change or whatever. And I'm hearing this. I didn't see the children in the back because it was nighttime. But when she gets back, they start moving around. And I gave her the survey questions, and I asked her to think about, what was being said, and you got children back there listening. That can't be good for the children. And so when we think about this too, so before the advent of Cardi B came to us about 5 years ago, and she had, I think, her first 5 singles were top 10. She was the first artist ever to have her first 5 singles in the top 10, and they may have been in the top 10 at the same time or whatever. Just manufactured. But before that, I would ask the question also, tell us the 3 female recording artists that you've heard since the turn of the century that you hear all the time. And there's only 3, and everybody, I guarantee you, I'll say like 95% of the people we asked got this question right. Give us the 3. This is before Cardi B came about. And the answers were Rihanna, Beyonce, and Nicki Minaj. Those are the only three consistently that have been pushed by the music industry on the masses of black people, black women, black children, black young men, impressionable minds of our people. Beyonce, Anna, and Nicki Minaj. We call her Nicki Garbage.
Wow.
So since then, since Cardi B, they've added Megan, they've added City Girls, they added Doja Cat, they've added just a bunch of sisters who behave as harlots in their music. And it's just so sad. I mean, and that's what we're being in right now. And so when you look at the beginning of the century, again, we were told that, I think it's what they said, like 30-some% of black women in their 30s had never been married. That was at the beginning of the century. Now, we're almost a quarter into the century, and we're hearing that 48% of black women, no matter what age, have never been married. 48%, almost half the black women, have never been married. And I asked, well, who would I marry? Why would I marry a girl that's a sister when I'm coming up and all I'm hearing is, them H's ain't loyal, or ain't never cut that B off, or I will never wife her, only one nighter. The women are full of lies. I just F them and pass them to my guy.
Oh.
This is what's played on the radio. I'm a dog. I'm going to treat her like a dog. Treat her like a dog. Feed her like a dog and pass her to my dog.
Oh, wow.
And
on the radio for our children. We don't hear it. Those don't hear that. Don't hear that, but our children hear.
Wow. And fraternity brothers call, hey, dog, how are you? And I just wonder, what is that supposed to be about?
And those are supposed to be the elite ones.
Exactly.
The Omega Sci-Fi, the Q dogs. And people don't.
They welcome it.
Don't really understand or maybe even know that repetition breeds that type of thing, because when I used to work at a particular job, and the young people were listening to radio, and I think I brought this up on another occasion where I didn't really care for Lil Wayne. However, the local station, because they get paid for heavy rotation, even though someone will deny about payola, but we know it's a fact. And then, or the station benefits somehow or another, somebody benefits for keeping whoever in heavy rotation. But even though I didn't care one thing or another about Lil Wayne, I'd heard his stuff so many times at the job, because it was an area where a group of, let's say, maybe 10 of us are working and somebody's got a boom box going. I actually learned the words to Lil Wayne's song, and him and I ain't got nothing in common.
Yeah, it's sad. It is really sad, and the repetition and what's happening all around the country.
Right.
It's a scourge on African life. As you heard the numbers about the marriages, and it doesn't matter how you feel about Western marriage or people whatever. But the fact is that a lot of these homes, our children are being raised with there's no daddy in the home, and that's a problem. That is a scourge on our society when it comes to the work ethic, when it comes to seeing our people out here at work, when it comes to the discipline. When it comes to the prison industrial complex and what it's done to us, we are under attack, and their main method of attack on us and our culture, again, is via this music and these music lyrics. And they're trying to, right now, I mentioned that Meek Mill was over in Africa. You also had Talib Kweli, Vic Mensa, Chance the Rapper. I understand Erykah Badu was over there too. Even David Chappelle. I mean, what are they doing in Africa? Are they doing the same stuff that they're doing here?
That's what it sounds like.
So
that's sad. Even another way to destroy a whole community of black people, and if they are successful in blasting this all over the continent of Africa, what it does is it brainwashes them to act in that manner, and it encourages other ethnic groups to shun our community members.
Yeah, they are shaping the mentality. And one thing you said earlier, brother, another key word is gullible. And I would just, I guess, use the adjective form of it, or gullibility. A lot of people are willfully ignorant and gullible. They don't see themselves as leaders, but they're more easily led. And that's why the sagging pants, and I've seen young women who will wear their pants low enough so that you can see the G-string. They're basically advertising, but they're gullible. And I think some of that, I don't know how we correct that part, but some of them don't have a sense of identity or who they are. So they look outside themselves for someone to imitate, and by imitating that person, they develop an identity. And I am writing myself. I wrote a lot of things, and I kind of slacked off, but this past weekend I made it a point to just say, well, I won't be distracted by anything. Let me engage in these lyrics and promote what I consider to be positive things. Now, I will say this, the music, because people don't understand the power of music, the vibration, the rhythm, how it actually hits you. So a lot of people get caught up in the rhythm of it first. We'll pat our feet or clap our hands, snap our fingers, whatever we do to sort of like vibe with the music. And a lot of times, sometimes you can't even distinguish what the words are, but that music has a hypnotic effect as well. So I say that just to say that I'm using that same type of trap music because I know I got to get them their attention some kind of way. I'll use trap music, but I'm not using that same street gutter mentality because I know they're going to listen to the music. If they could care less about what I said, they still going to bob their heads because oh man, that's got a nice little beat to it, man. I love that hook on there. So that's I think for myself anyway. Personally, that's one method to try to use that music, but use it in a way with lyrics that show the dark side, like Theo was saying earlier. We're in a thing where they don't, they'll lock into the lyrics and then, of course, start to behave or imitate that. So if I can get them locked into the music, but, sort of like Aesop's fable, the moral of the story is you're not going to make it.
Children's stories from Slick Rick, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's tough, man, because I'm a DJ. I do a radio show called a Weekly Wrap Up where we play conscious hip hop and classic funk. And so we did a tribute to Tom Bell a couple weeks ago.
Wow, yeah.
We played a bunch of the Detroit Spinners and Stylistics. And, of course, Delphonics and so many others, Dee Bridgewater, Flint, Michigan's own Dee Bridgewater, Phyllis Hyman, a bunch of artists that our brother produced. And we would ask this, another question we'd ask when doing these presentations. We'd ask the youth to share with us 3 or 4 slow jams that you've heard in the last year. And it's funny because a lot of times they start going back to the classics. I think you can't use them songs. They were way out. They get sauce their hair from their parents. But they appreciate that music. They love that music. And even I think about the drill music and the beats. And the beats are the same over it. It's no different hardly in none of the beats. The same hi-hats. It pretty much just doesn't stop. So, I don't know. I did want to share one other piece. We were talking about Africa and its international thing and our conditions overall. I was thinking about the U.S. and their whole immigration thing the other day. I mean, just yesterday when they mentioned Haiti,
right,
Cuba, Nicaragua, and then later on last night I heard them also add Venezuela in terms of the countries where there's so many immigrants that are waiting to get in or are trying to get in or stuck at the border. But those particular countries, I would just challenge us to look at the U.S. history in Haiti, Europe's history in Haiti. And, Haiti, of course, being the spot where 220 years ago we had that revolution and got our freedom away from France and these other European powers who were there. And I think about Cuba. The United States has had a blockade on Cuba for what, 60 years now, right?
Right back in
I think about Nicaragua. The United States supported the Contras in Nicaragua against the Sandinistas, even to the point of bringing drugs to the young boys incorporated out of Detroit into Mena, Arkansas. And Rick Ross talks about the influx of those drugs coming from Central America into California and how that drug piece has decimated black communities all around the country, small, large and small, all connected to this. And so these people, why would they want to come from these climates that are nice and warm right now, where we're freezing up in Detroit and Gary, and come over here? Because of U.S. imperialism. You know, this imperialism, which even spreads and has affected us in our communities with this drug trade, with so many people locked up, and also pushed and promoted in the music. You know, we mentioned that the issues with the disrespect, the misogyny, the self-hate, the offensive language, the murder, but we talked about the porn in the music, but there's also blatant materialism, drug, and alcohol abuse. Those are the major things that are pushed in this music. And so when you talk about, you talk about the dude, your relative putting a $20 bill in somebody's funeral coat after he's killed him. I mentioned Future, he's paying somebody $20,000 in drug money to go ahead and shoot up the funeral. And they're always talking about drug money. You mentioned drill music. Right along with that, his first cousin is trap music. You know, we're in a bando, which is an abandoned house that we know we got a lot of in Detroit and in Gary. You're in an abandoned house selling drugs. That's a bando. So this stuff is all connected, but it's being used again as a major scourge against African life in the U.S. right now. And that's this rap music, and it has to be properly addressed.
You know, I'm glad that you mentioned one word that's been on my tongue for a long time. I was a political science major, which is imperialism. And then when you mentioned like Cuba, so Castro was the problem there. In Nicaragua was Noriega, and the CIA financing some of their things through Oliver North to help. You know, he's going to trade guns for drugs. Then you bring him back, and like you say, Ricky Ross, not the rapper. You know, he just became large because he knew how, you know, and that's the interesting thing. They had, just like the Black Mafia family they promote now on one of these programs, but they have intelligent minds. They know how to run things in a corporate sense, but it's always a negative endeavor that they're in. And it's rare that you see, I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, but it's rare that you'll see somebody who's making that kind of money who says, okay, well, let me open up some legitimate businesses, a cleaner, laundromat, grocery store, something like that. Let me funnel this money into something else, as opposed to, as you said, also the materialism, where I've got to have, you know, a couple of Bentleys, a Rolls, a Lamborghini, Ferrari. So that materialism is just pushed in the face, and you have youth who idolize that. Right now, the only thing they can afford, which is also popular in the culture, is get some old school classic, a 78 Regal or a Monte Carlo Grand Prix or whatever, put it on some 24s, you know, get a slick paint job on there. And then for them, as you said, the God thing, they become the God in the neighborhood. And that's their realm right there. That's their heaven, to be able to ride around, bumping the sounds. They sitting up real high in the ride, and they
look, and in the meantime, all our stores and liquor stores and you know, inundate our community, and all our stores are run by those who do not have our best interests. And when we go back even to the entrepreneurialism and things like that, I mean, we need to have co-ops in our community where the community runs these stores and food stands and limit like in Gary, for instance, we have there was Economy Liquor number 3. They went to the zoning board to try to get it open, and it was a guy, Pfefferman, European dude, and these Arab guys, can't think of their names, but they were there, and so we defeated them. The zoning said, no, you can't open up this liquor store. Went to the council, but the council to vote, and the council voted with us too. We had to fight them, but they voted with us too. They couldn't open the liquor store. So about a month later, sister says, hey, you got to come to the meeting tonight. They're going to try to pull a fast one on us. And sure enough, the city attorney, with Pfefferman in the front row of the city council meeting, told the city council that you guys have done the wrong thing and that this liquor store must be allowed to open in our community. And so they opened it. That was Economy Liquor number 3. Now we have 15 Economy Liquors in Gary. 15 of them. And so, this stuff is so crazy what they're doing. And there's a movie called America Made, I think, with Tom Cruise.
Yes.
And it deals with Barry Seal and the whole crack Contra Central America planes flying out of Bill Clinton's Mena, Arkansas, while George Bush, CIA, leader was the president.
Wow.
So it kind of connects it. They kind of make a caricature out of the movie to a certain extent. But that's a movie, and there's books written about that, too. And again, the connection to Detroit is right there, because they would go from Arkansas to Detroit.
And
Young Boys Incorporated.
What was the name of the book?
The book, what's the name of this book?
Yeah.
I can't think of the name of the book. It's a big book, too, but it chronicles Bill Clinton and George Bush's role in the Iran-Contra peace and the drugs coming into Mena Airstrip.
Right.
And I rode through Mena, Arkansas. I made a detour just so I could ride through Mena, Arkansas to see where this was a couple of years ago.
If any of you want to call in, we're getting down to the last of our show today.
Actually, we got to wrap up now.
Okay, well, we got to start wrapping up. Is there a way, Kwabena, that you can share for people to get in touch with you? You have Facebook, email, Twitter,
Clear the Airwaves, ocean waves. Clear the Airwaves Project on Facebook.
Okay,
we're active there also.
Clear the Airwaves
Project.
Okay, that's a Facebook.
That's Facebook. We're also online. Our website is cleartheairwavesproject.org.
Okay. Clear the Airwaves Project.org. Okay.
Yes. And you spell waves with the V, not with the W, but with the V. So so please check us out. We got the survey online, and also we work with the Lookout Elevated Arts and Culture Collective. Also, Elevated Arts and Culture Collective. We're a collective of artists and supporters of the arts whose content uplifts the masses of our people. And we to become part of the collective, you have to pledge not to support that ratchetness that's detrimental to our people.
Oh, wow.
So, and again, we're creating this database to deal with these radio stations also. That's one of our working projects.
Okay.
Elevate the Arts and Culture Collective.
Elevated
Arts and Culture Collective.
Yes.
Okay. I got it.
Do you have an email?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
clearairwaves@gmail.com.
Okay. Say it once again, please.
ClearAirwaves@gmail.com. Clearairwaves@gmail.com.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all. We appreciate y'all. We need help with this. They are on our children.
Yes.
Our children can't fend for themselves. They require us to help protect them.
That's right. And I want to thank you, Kwabena, so much for coming on with us today to talk about the details, to talk about what we need to do, to talk about why we need to do it. And Hood Research says at the end of the show, it's not necessary for you to know everything. What is necessary is for you to know how to find what you need when you need it. And we at Hood Research look for as much information as we can and encourage you to do the same and join us because it helps us all make better informed decisions. Hood Research has a phone number. The phone number is 248-234-2371. 248-234-2371. We have a email, which is contact@hoodresearch.org. Again, contact@hoodresearch.org. And, Vidi?
As I always say, if you want to be nothing, do nothing. But the only problem with doing nothing is you never know when you're finished.
That's right. And also, know that Hood Research has a website, and follow us on Twitter. Peace.
Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton.
And I am Thabiti Mpinga.
Inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback.
A positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
And take us along with you. Feedback.